K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Welcome to Opinion Nation.
And we stand today on the edge of a new frontier.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
What makes us Americans is our shared commitment to an ideal, that all of us are created equal.
I, too, am America.
Now here's your host, Bryce Robbins.
Hello, everybody, and what a beautiful Saturday morning it is. So, we have a whole host of topics. We have two guests that are going to be coming on today, and, well, it will be fun. So, first, we're going to be talking about Trump, then, obviously, on to Sandra Bland. She's very big in the news. But I would like to start off by talking about Marco Rubio, who today, quote, said, "Trump is not going to be the nominee." Now, when I read this, I laughed, because where the hell does he get the balls to say this? Have you looked at the polls lately, Marco? I mean, Trump is at 28. Rubio is at, 6. I mean, it's ridiculous. Trump, right now, is looking like he's going to be stealing this nomination. But to talk about that, we have a guest that's going to be coming on soon. I would also like to kind of just bring up something that happened in the news. It was kind of interesting. The CEO of Dunkin' Donuts said that it is outrageous that people are talking about a $15 minimum wage. All three candidates, primary candidates, running for the Democratic nomination, and obviously that three is Bernie Sanders, Martin O'Malley, and Hillary Clinton, all support the $15 minimum wage. Nobody cares about Lincoln Chafee Jim Webb because they're not even registering in the polls yet. But to be quite honest, as liberal as I am, and as much as I tout about Bernie Sanders and my love affair with him, a $15 minimum wage is outrageous. People want a job in this country, and if you raise the minimum wage, you could just do the simple math. Let's say you have a store of, 3, and each person gets paid $8 an hour. That's $24 per hour per person. Not per person, your workplace. Whereas if you raise that to $15, you just shot that up to $45 just on your store employees. So rather than applying for new loans to expand, you can't, because you're not letting the market value the minimum wage and what the actual wage should be. And let's be honest, half the time when I walk into a Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, not only do they either get my name wrong, but they give me some crappy coffee drink that is going to kill me anyways, and it doesn't take a genius to do it. I don't understand why anyone deserves $15 an hour just so that they can pour a cup of coffee and hand it to you and get your change wrong. Especially with the whole fight for 15 movement for fast food restaurants. Is it really worth $15 an hour to get somebody a hamburger? I mean, it's almost ridiculous. But I digress. So anyways, I've just been made aware that our first guest is here. So first, welcome back to the show, Liam Coolhill. Liam was on a couple episodes ago earlier in our series, and he is a chairman of the New Jersey Teenage Republicans. So, Liam, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bryce. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no, please. It's my pleasure. So, Liam and I are going to be talking about none other than Donald Trump. So, before we get into it, I would like to just play kind of a fun clip. It's Donald Trump's best lines from his 2016 speech. So, we're going to have a listen to that, and then we're going to listen to one more clip maybe after, but here's the first clip.
I beat China all the time. When was the last time you saw a Chevrolet in Tokyo? When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. The big lie. Obamacare. $5 billion we spent on a website. I hire people. They do a website. It costs me $3. Are you running? Are you not running? I am officially running for President of the United States. We need a leader that wrote The Art of the Deal. I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created.
All right, so, Liam, your opinion on Donald Trump. Let's hear it.
All right, so I just want to make clear I'm a Republican, as you mentioned before, but I originally had a favorable opinion of Trump. I thought he was a straight talker. I did like some of his comments, even though they weren't exactly the way I believe a presidential candidate should present them. However, in the recent week, my opinion has completely changed. Number one was his comments on McCain. I was just meeting with John McCain 2 days ago, and he is one of the nicest guys, and he is most definitely a war hero. Those comments were completely out of line. And then on Lindsey Graham, I met him another day ago too. That's completely irresponsible. Those phone numbers are supposed to be private, and for a presidential candidate to release that in front of millions of viewers is distasteful, and I can't condone that. That's why I do not support Donald Trump for president any longer, even though I do believe he's a straight talker. I think he's picking up people that are frustrated with the process, and I think his poll numbers are going to be dropping in the next month.
Well, from what we've seen right now, his polls just increased, which is quite amazing. And,
yes,
to
true.
be honest, being the liberal that I am, I listened to Donald Trump. And before this, I have not. And I thought, oh, great. Donald Trump is running for president. Great. Whoopee. He's going to fail, this and that. Recently, I see he's doing good in the polls, so I started listening to his speeches. And a couple weeks ago, I already listened to the full thing of his his introduction speech to the race, and I think, he sounds pretty good with what he's saying. And I know that he's not the most eloquent speaker, right? But what he's saying just
definitely
makes sense. And how do you feel about the whole part? This is what really caught me. How do you feel that he says, I'm rich, I don't need your money, I'm going to do what's right for America? What do you think about that?
I do like that a lot, because you know that Donald Trump isn't going to be serving lobbyists, right? He can't, because he doesn't need to. He's got as much money as he needs. It's estimated that $2 billion is needed to win the presidency. He's worth $11 billion, so there's no problem there. But I really do feel that there are other candidates that can get fundraising money, but still pander to the audiences. And I hope to see that in the upcoming debates starting August 6th.
So let me ask you this. Donald Trump is going to be on that debate stage. It just seems like there's no doubt about it at this point. And it's questionable whether or not Chris Christie is going to be up there. And some other candidates as well. Lindsey Graham said this sucks. How do you feel that Donald Trump is going to be on the debate stage?
I definitely think it's going to bring liveliness to the debate, which is needed. And that candidate-on-candidate confrontation is really what we need to happen in these debates. I'm very happy that they picked Fox News to host the debates, because now the candidates can't have an excuse for biased questions. Fox News is conservative, so are the candidates, and I feel it's going to be a very fair debate, and I really can't wait to see what candidates emerge as being real leaders, because they can say whatever they want by themselves, but only when you put them in that group setting is when they really stand out.
I feel, listening to Donald Trump, that I agree with him on a lot of things. And I'm liberal. So do you think Donald Trump, is he the most liberal candidate? Do you think he appeals to liberals, or is it just me? For God's sakes, on student loan debt, he's saying it's disgusting how our children are swimming in student loan debt. That's the type of thing you hear from Bernie Sanders. On campaign finance reform, he talks about, he touts his wealth, and then he says, we need election reform, with his small mouth. So what is he? Is he conservative, or is he just a Republican? Has he totally abandoned the conservatism ship?
All right, so what's very interesting about the Republican Party when compared to the Democratic Party is there's a variety of wings. I have a lot of friends in all these wings, and they're all great people, but everyone has different views. You
sound like Donald Trump. They're great people.
Yeah. So you have fiscal conservatives, Tea Party activists, you got libertarians, and then you have what people call rhinos, but I prefer to refer to them as Rockefeller Republicans, because I believe progressives have a spot in our party too. I would say Donald Trump is definitely one of the more moderate candidates. He has supported Democrats in the past, even though he self-identifies as a Republican. Back in 2004, he said he was a Democrat. So, in my opinion, he does seem like a very moderate candidate that's going to be running, and he's gotten a lot of support for his straight talking. I'd say I do agree with a lot of his policy too. But then again, I also feel Chris Christie, I agree with some of his policies, but he's just not the type of person who's fit for the presidency.
It just seems that when Donald Trump speaks, he's a very powerful speaker. He seems like he's not
you look for an
swayed by the special interests.
Dry is everything.
Have you tried?
Okay. It seems like he's not swayed by the special interests, which is quite interesting. But do you think, he speaks like he knows every single group of people. The Mexicans, I love them. The Chinese, we're great friends. Do you think he would actually be good on trade?
I remember his one comment on trade is he's a fair trader he likes fair trade as long as you have people who can negotiate fair trade deals in a way that benefits America. I definitely think Donald Trump has connections in a million countries, and I think he would be successful at getting these trade deals done. What I'm a little worried about, though, is his appeal to voters, and what I'm extremely worried about right now is that he's going to be a Perot candidate back in 1992, where he's going to become an independent and take 20% of the vote with him. In that case, I'll say that Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton would definitely have the presidency, because the Republican Party could not compete if Donald Trump takes 20% of our base.
That would be a sight to see. That would be kind of that would be pretty interesting if he did that. I just heard though that he will not be running as a third candidate, but hey, you never know. He also said he was pro-choice, and then he's now uber pro-life, and I have that clip. I'll play it later. But I guess to finish this out, we could talk a little bit about, do you think that this whole Trump for presidency, do you think it's going to die out? Do you think that it's going to terminate and we're going to see Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio or somebody else? Do you think we're going to see them take the stage here? Or do you think this is just Trump is going to put his name out like he does on his buildings?
I think that this is a fad and it's going to die out. Remember Herman Cain back in 2012? He was going to be the nominee. Something always happens, and I have to say that I feel once the debates start, you're going to see a lot stronger people emerging. I think the presidential ticket is definitely going to include Scott Walker, because whether it's Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio, you need a Midwestern governor to take a spot on the ticket, and especially one from a blue state looks great. I've heard a lot of talk recently this week in D.C. about a Walker-Rubio ticket or a Rubio-Walker ticket. I think that's a great idea, and I think that really will bring together the whole party. Walker can appeal to everyone on the base, and Rubio really is a rising star in the party. I really feel that they have a great chance. I've also heard a lot of talk about possibly a Walker Cruz ticket. I think it's a little less likely, but I think that would be supported as well.
Ted, how do you feel about Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz is a great guy. I've met him personally, and he's one of the nicest guys going. I agree with a lot of his policy, I have to say, but the one small issue I have with him is that he does not seem to appeal to the moderate, to the average everyday American. On the conservative base, he's fantastic, and he's a great senator from Texas, but I feel Marco Rubio is nearly as conservative as Ted Cruz, but he appeals to moderate voters at a greater level for some reason, but that's what we have to run with.
Well, let me ask you this, because you just brought up a good point. You see the whole conservatism really strongly in Jeb Bush, and he just said, he was going to end tax breaks for coal, oil, natural gas, clean energy as well. And then he also said he wants to phase out Medicare. Whereas Donald Trump, he's not on the side of phasing out Medicare. He said we're going to expand it. At one point, he was in favor of universal health care. There's clearly something there. So, if elected, right? If you had to choose, if it was up to you, would you want to see the phasing out of Medicare? I mean, that just seems like such a big institution in this country that helps so many people. It seems like it'd be a step backwards. What's your opinion on that?
What I think many conservative candidates do, that I'm not a big fan of, is they say that they're going to repeal or just check out this whole system. That's not exactly a good way to win elections, because the majority of our base rely on a lot of these systems. What I would say is that there are better options for certain things. And there are ways to reform such programs so that they're more free market based, that they're more favorable to people. I'd say one of the great examples of a free market program that helps a lot of people is food stamps, because it's not like the government is providing food for people. It's a lot more efficient. The government gives people a specific voucher, a food voucher, to go and meet their basic needs. I think that's the way to go with helping people out.
Well, I mean, then you get on the whole side that people don't really agree with the whole voucher system, but
that's true.
You never know. All right, Liam, thank you so much for coming on. You've been a great guest, and obviously we're going to have you back again. For everyone who's been listening, Liam, he's from the New Jersey Teenage Republicans. He's a great friend of mine, smart, funny, Might be a little conservative for me, but it's all right. All right, thank you so much, Liam.
Thank you again, Bryce.
All right, so before we go to break, I'm just going to play a funny clip that should take us into break, and then when I get back, around 11:35, we should be hearing from another guest who's already been on the show. His name's Henry, and we're going to be talking about Sandra Bland. But first, I'm going to play this clip about Donald Trump flip-flopping.
The eliminating of abortion in the third trimester. Big issue in Washington. Would President Trump ban partial birth abortion?
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion. I hate it. I hate everything it stands for. I cringe when I listen to people debating the subject. But I just believe in choice. Very simple. Pro-life. Everybody hates us. Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of the United States. Hillary was the worst. In the history of the United States, there's never been a Secretary of State so bad as Hillary.
That's after he donated millions of dollars to her. At one point, he called Jeb Bush a very good man. Now,
Jeb Bush is in favor of Common Core, and he's weak on immigration. Those are two bad things. And he's not a deal guy. He's not a deal maker. He's not. Who would you rather have negotiating against China, as an example? Trump or Jeb?
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long lost friend.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rail. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
Hello?
Kind of upsetting. And it's just, Henry and I are going to get into that conversation. So first,
Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove you.
I refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Step out or I will remove you.
I am getting removed for a failure.
Step out or I will remove you. I'm giving you a lawful order. Get out of the car now or I'm going to remove you.
And I'm calling my
I'm going to yank you out of here.
Okay, you going to yank me out of my car?
Get out.
Okay. All right.
25.
Let's do this.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah. Don't touch me.
Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take me out of my car.
Arrest.
I'm under arrest for what?
1098.
For what?
297 another unit. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now.
Why am I being apprehended? You trying to give me a ticket
I said
for the
get
failure?
out of the car.
Why am I being apprehended? You
I'm
just
giving
opened
you a
my car
lawful
door.
order.
I'm
going to drag you out of here.
So you threatening to drag me out of my own car?
Get out of the car.
And then you
I will light you up. Get out.
Wow.
Now.
Wow.
Get out of the car.
For a failure to signal. You doing all of this for
Get
a
over there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, let's take this to court.
all right. So I think that's enough. So hello, Henry.
Hello, Bryce.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, Henry has been with us before, and he is now back on the show. But today's discussion is going to be about Sandra Bland. So it seems, in my opinion, it really turns when he asks her, "Is there something wrong?" and then she says exactly what he asked, and he goes, "Are you done?" So, Henry, let's hear it. What do you think?
All right. Well, I think that with regards just to the incident of her arrest, I think that, of course, I think there's two ways of looking at it, and in my opinion, unfortunately, the vast majority of people have chosen a way of looking at it that essentially demonizes the police officer. Now, I'm not trying to say that the officer was not at fault. I'm simply trying to say that really, I think that there was, if anything, an equal blame for both Sandra Bland and the arresting police officer. I mean, on one hand, in my opinion, obviously, just by listening to the way she responds to the officer, she's generally just being belligerent. She's being disrespectful to the police officer. And aside from that actually being either a ticketable or an arrestable offense, it's just generally something you shouldn't do with a cop. So in regards to the police officer escalating that situation, I think that a lot of the blame should definitely just be on Sandra Bland herself for causing that.
Say, you don't act that way to a cop. So are we just supposed to bow our heads to a cop? I mean, he told her, after he's like, "Are you done?" And she's like, "Well, now I'm done. Yeah, you asked me and I told you." He goes the extra step to say, "Can you put out your cigarette, please?" Was that necessary? I mean, and are we supposed to live in a society where we are fearing these cops? We bow our heads. Oh, it's a cop. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, about the thing with the cigarette, I think that obviously, no, you cannot be arrested for smoking a cigarette in front of a police officer, nor can you be arrested for smoking in any place other than a public restaurant or bar. I think that in regards to this case in which she was smoking in her car while the police officer was speaking to her, generally it could be construed, and I'm not saying that I would, but I'm saying that it is definitely possible for the police officer or for anyone to construe kind of like, not to mention her uppity attitude with kind of smoking in like the police officer's face straight out the window could be seen as a sign of disrespect. And about what you said, should we bow our heads to police officers? I think that is obviously we shouldn't. I mean, you know me, Bryce, I'm a conservative. I naturally fear government like the plague. But I think that there is a definite time and place where you should obey a police officer, then actually deal with a problem if you had a problem with that police officer. In my opinion, if Sandra Bland had gone about this a different way, or if I were in her same situation, it's very simple. You listen to the police officer, you accept your ticket for the traffic violation where she didn't put her turn signals on while turning. You accept the ticket, and then you battle that ticket in court if you have a problem with it. And if you want to go the extra step and believe that the police officer treated you unfairly, then you can bring up charges against either that police officer or his precinct headquarters. It's not something you want to take up while he has a taser or a gun on him. I use this example to my parents. If you're being held hostage in a bank, of course you hate the person who's holding the gun to your head, but that doesn't mean you talk back to him while he has the gun on you.
Well, I mean, again, I think this goes back to the whole we shouldn't fear cops, because he is a man of uniform, and he's supposed to know better. I feel like, first off, do you think that she should have been pulled over in the first place? That should have been my initial question. Do you think that she explained to the cop, "I was trying to get out of your way. You were right up my ass, and I was pulling to the side, trying to let you pass." Do you think that should have even been a time where you pull someone over?
In all honesty, I don't think that it was really that big of a thing at all for any officer of the law to pull someone over, especially if she was getting out of the way of the cop. But then again, there's also a number of other factors that you'd have to take into account. I mean, what if that police officer is just having a god-awful day? Or what if that local police station had to meet their monthly quota of tickets given out? There's any number of factors that can contribute to why he would pull her over. To answer your question, I don't think it's something that should be regularly addressed by way of ticketing. I think it could be an honest mistake, or it could just be a slight negligence. It's nothing that's really that big enough to warrant a ticket or arrest. So in short, no, I don't think that the cop should have pulled her over in the first place. However, I think that once the situation escalated when she was pulled over, I think that was certainly decent, lawful grounds for arrest.
Let's ask the hard-hitting question here that I think everybody is, from Donald Trump to Al Sharpton, is talking about. Is this racism? Because it just seems to me he pulled over some college girl prior, asked her about her classes, asked her about how she was doing, and then with this lady, he says, is there something wrong? Seems kind of friendly. He seems, there's something wrong. And then he takes it that step when he just says, are you done? And then he goes to the cigarette comment. And it seems like he was just fishing for a problem. Kind of like, the typical racist cop you always see, break the headlights kind of thing. There's a problem here. What do you think? Is this racism in our police force?
I thought about that before I came on the show. I thought about that several days before when I first heard about this story. In truth, as much flack as anyone would take for saying it, I personally do not believe that this was a situation of racism. I think that, just listening to the clip, in my opinion, the way the police officer responded to the way Sandra Bland was speaking, let's put it in the perspective of the police officer. He pulls someone over because they didn't put their signal on because she was trying to get out of his way. Fine. Maybe he has a stick up his blank, and so he decided to just randomly pull her over for something so minor. However, you now have to get into the fact that, really, if you listen to just the tone of her voice from that recording, you can hear some sort of antagonism, some sort of, just general almost disrespect toward that police officer. I think that when he says, are you done? When he asks if there's a problem, she's like, of course there's there's a problem. Why do you think you pulled me over? Generally speaking, that's not really the way that you should answer a cop. When a cop says, and I'm not trying to say either that we should just, again, bow our heads and obey every police officer and do exactly as they say, but you should really try to keep it short, sweet, to the point, and really keep your head down when dealing with a cop. So, do I think this was racism? I don't. I do not think that this escalated as a result of racism. I think that this was purely driven by the fact that Miss Bland was belligerent towards the police officer, and the police officer responded. And I would go so far as to say that the police officer did certainly maybe jump a few steps when he pulled out his taser on her or when he ordered her out of the car. However, with regards to putting out the cigarette and ordering her to leave her car, those are both absolutely lawful actions that a police officer can take. And technically, she resisted both of those orders from a police officer, and that can be actually argued as resisting arrest in a court of law. So, in short, I do not think this was a case of racism. I think this was a case of someone just outrightly disrespecting a police officer.
Now, what about the part where after all this crap, where she says, I'm not putting out my cigarette? First of all, I believe, as much as I don't like smoking, she was well within her right to be smoking a cigarette in that car. I have not seen a statute or a law that says you can't smoke a cigarette in your car when a cop has pulled you over. But because she refuses to do that, the cop starts yanking her out of her car. And not only did he first ask her, can you please step out of the car, ma'am? He escalates it very quickly, and then he starts yelling and grabbing her. I don't think that's okay. I think, if a cop orders you to do something and you just question and say, well, look, I'm not doing anything. What am I doing wrong? Tell me what I'm doing wrong. And they don't. I think that that's a problem there. I think that's a problem with policing. And, I've heard people say this cop was only on for a year. But I don't think that your tenure as a cop should be an excuse for bad policing. So we're going to talk more about Sandra Bland, and we're going to talk about her death and whatnot. But first, I want to play a clip. So, Henry, don't go anywhere. I'm going to play a clip. This is Sandra Bland. She would post videos on Facebook talking about her opinion on race in society. I'm not going to play the whole clip. She would address people as the kings and queens. That was common throughout all her videos. But let's have a listen, and we will talk about her and her death from there.
Beautiful kings and queens, it is Friday, April 10th, 2015. It's kind of chilly out here this morning, so hopefully you bundled up. Kings and queens, someone proposed me with the question the other day, and I'm a little stuck on it. I was asked, was I trying to racially unite or racially incite? Well, honestly, I feel that my goal is to racially unite. Now, in the process of doing that, some people will be incited, i.e. upset, because based on the history of America, it is not good when it comes to black and white people. But I want us to try and get past that. And that is ultimately impossible. It's impossible to happen until certain people realize they were born into a certain type of privilege. And it does not matter if you never break a law, if you never get into any trouble. Part of the reason for that being is the police don't even suspect you of doing anything wrong. And that's just how it is. For those of you who did not like the video that I posted earlier this week or yesterday and decided to get on my page calling me a racist, a dumb bee, I just think quite disrespectful. You know, guys, you don't have to watch my videos. You really don't. Because at the moment, they're not for everybody. I would want them to be, but unfortunately they can't be, especially when we're talking about a subject as touchy as race relations, all of this mess that's going on in America. So for those of you who think that I'm a racist, please remove yourself from my page and just don't watch Sandy Speaks. Sandy Speaks does not promote racism. Sandy Speaks does not promote going out there and killing all white people. I don't know if those of you who feel that I'm a racist, didn't see a couple weeks ago me walking around Fox Valley Mall holding a sign that I spent my money on, took time out to make, that said, all white people are not against us. Because I don't truly feel that way. But for those of you who cannot accept and acknowledge the white privilege that you were born into, no fault of your own, but just accept it and know that, yes, black people are going to be mad when we see things like our brothers being gunned down, murdered. And for those of you who can say, oh, well, why was he running? Why was he breaking the law?
All right. So you clearly hear Sandra Bland was an outspoken, intelligent woman, especially in regards to racism and race. So evidently we understand where she would find herself being when a cop pulled her over who is white. So, Henry, you still there?
Yes, sir.
So, Henry, after hearing that video, do you think that this woman, I mean, she sounds lively and, this sounds like, her situation that she could have capitalized on. Do you think this really was a suicide?
Well, I think that this is actually a very important point to bring up. I noticed that, or not noticed, I was practically inundated across social media over the past week or so, ever since the case broke and she committed, or rather she was found dead, that conspiracy theories practically arose overnight in a matter of hours that it was some sort of killing, it was a lynching by the white police officers in the station, and people have even gone so far as to put up pictures of her mugshot and make assertions that it was taken while she was dead. However, this is not a case of opinion. This is not a case of, well, I think that these cops are racist, so I think they killed her. I think just yesterday, several newspapers reported, and the official autopsy report was issued, that yes, it was a suicide. No markings on her body could be correlated to any kind of physical assault by another person. The manner in which she was found dead, and the manner in which, and all the evidence in her cell clearly indicated that yes, she did commit suicide. You even have her cellmate or one of the other prisoners in that jail saying that she committed suicide. So, to answer your question, really, do I think she committed suicide? It's not a matter of what I think. It's a matter of the fact that professional opinion and official reports say, yes, she did commit suicide.
Yes, and, well, you know, when climate scientists say climate change is real, no, but, yeah, I was just reading that, you know, Sandra Bland, her jailmate said that she was very emotional, things of that nature. So I think the cat's out of the bag on that one. But, you know, what do we take away from this, I guess would be my question. You know, from someone who believes that the cop really wasn't as much his fault as I believe, do we take anything away from this? Is just social media, the news blowing something out of proportion? What is the next step?
I think that there are about two things that we can take away from this, really. Number one, I was going to say this after you played the clip from one of her videos. I certainly am not saying that it is factual. However, I think that something to keep in mind with regards to her arrest and the manner in which she was arrested and how she acted toward that police officer, I think it's good to take into account that with regards to her video and with regards to the opinions that she obviously held so strongly, that could have certainly been a contributing factor to how she behaved with the cop. You know, I'm not saying for sure, I'm not saying that I could know what's going through her mind at that point. However, there is certainly the possibility that she realized she's an African American, she was pulled over by a Caucasian police officer, and she took her ideas and basically ran with them to the point that she didn't want to obey this police officer for the sheer fact that he is white and she is black.
I don't understand. I certainly am not saying that it is factual. However, I think that's something that could be...
No problem.
Siri just started going off. Apparently, she has something to say about this race relation issue.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, what I was saying was, I certainly think that there is a chance that her opinions could have factored into this. So what we can take away from that is, I'm certainly against police brutality. I'm against, giving away too many of our rights and our legal powers to police officers during an arrest. However, I think that it's important to keep in mind that if you are being pulled over, if you are being arrested, that is not the time to argue with the police officer. When there's the chance, and I say this very carefully, but when there's a chance, especially if you are not Caucasian and you are being pulled over by a Caucasian police officer, what with everything that's happened in the news so far, that should be more of a time when you should keep a level head, not so much keep your head down, but just listen to the police officer, be respectful, deal with it in a, I suppose, professional, mannered way. And like I said before, then you take that ticket to court. Then you take that police officer to court. You can't win a fight against a police officer carrying a gun or a taser while he's standing out of your car and telling you to get out. It's fully within his power to tell you to leave your vehicle. You can't argue that. If you want to go ahead and make it into a legal battle, that you can win. That is, and I think that's a big problem with people positing that we have no power against police officers, we're giving away our rights to police officers. That is not true. At no point in time in American history were you ever supposed to fight with a police officer while he's issuing you a ticket or while he's arresting you? Because that is not the citizen's power. When you are being arrested, essentially the cop is in control. However, our constitutional rights allow us to take that cop or that ticket to court to argue it in our own way. Obviously, you can't carry a gun everywhere and get into a shootout with every cop. That is why we have a way of fighting back via the court system.
Well, you do hear her saying, I'm going to take this to court, can't wait to see you in court. And then, unfortunately, she took her own life. But I can't wait to see what else comes out on this. I mean, look, I think that what we see here is a case where we have an improperly trained cop. And I think the police system, how they handled it once she was in their custody, was even worse. That, this woman was clearly mentally unstable after she was arrested. I mean, she just was arrested brutally. She was crying, yelling, screaming. And they put her in solitary confinement, mind you, for 3 days. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't think it was handled properly. I think there's a lot of reform that should be taken away from this. But I definitely think that Sandra Bland's death was uncalled for. I think it is really on both ends, but I think it's a lot more bad policing than in a black woman getting angry and fighting with a cop. So that, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see it. Look, with Michael Brown, right? I viewed that as, maybe this is justifiable by the cop. Trayvon Martin, you view him, he wasn't always the most stand-up citizen. I don't know. I'm not going to make a judgment on that one. But especially with Michael Brown, it was a little hesitant with the cop to say he was guilty. But here, when we see the arrest, we see it was kind of uncalled for. But, to each his own. And I guess, such is life in Black America for some people. Henry, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you back, and you'll definitely be back in the future.
Thank you for having me, Bryce.
No problem. Have a great weekend. I hope to see you soon.
You too.
All right. So, to finish out the show, I guess we could just talk a little bit about what we talked about today. Whole host of things. So, first, obviously, starting out with that $15 minimum wage. Definitely look into that. And tweet me at OPNAT News. Message us on Facebook, Opinion Nation News. But we want to get your feedback. How do you feel about raising the minimum wage? I mean, $15. Isn't that a little bit too much? Especially if you're a small business. Next week, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on money in politics and small businesses in America. So, 2 more interesting topics, 2 more guests to bring on. But don't forget, Opinion Nation News on Facebook and Opnat News on Twitter. So, what we can clearly see from Donald Trump now, that was our second topic of the day, is it was kind of, interesting how he is what seems to be, for a normal politician, shooting himself in the foot every minute. He is now, at 28, and Jeb Bush in second place at 14. It's beyond me. But, mark my words, if it's a Hillary-Trump election, I'm going to cast my vote for Donald Trump. Because I can't trust Hillary Clinton. She should be wearing freaking orange. She's a criminal. She's an idiot, politically. And she's not a leader. But that's for another episode. And finally, we talk about Sandra Bland. I mean, I think we all heard my opinion. I think we all know that it's a tragic death. But I must say, to close on Sandra Bland seems to be expressing something that's very American. That, you have a problem, you could speak up. Okay? And it seems that she, when expressing how she felt, was treated unfairly by a cop. And to me, that just doesn't seem like it was the fault of her. It seems like if you're wearing that badge and that uniform, you should know how to conduct yourself, because you're going to run into a whole host of people. And, you know, there have been videos. There's one viral video, and I'll play it next week. You have a white man gets pulled over, and he films himself every time he gets pulled over. And he repeatedly says to the cop, "I will not answer any questions other than giving my information." Sandra Bland said that same thing. Look what happened to her. All right. Anyways, next week, like I said, we're going to talk small businesses. We're going to talk a whole host of things. Don't forget to tweet us at OPNAT News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Opinion Nation News, and visit us on Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Player FM. You can catch us on all those sites and more, especially on K98talk.org, the new host website for our show. All right, well, that pretty much covers it for this week. We had a big episode of debate and talk. All right, next week, you know the plan, you know the place. Meet us right back here, 11 o'clock, right here. Be there next week. Have a great week, everybody. I'm Bryce Robbins. This has been Opinion Nation News. Have a great week.
What makes us Americans is our shared commitment to an ideal that all of us are created equal.
I, too, am America.
Now here's your host, Bryce Robbins.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.